heaviness. Sense and feel into the weather of yourself. Imagine your breath as vibrant, clear wind. Can your breath help you get under the surface of things? Your breath is the wind of your inner ecosystem. Listen to its gentle pulse. Feeling now for physical sensations. Movements of energy. Emotional tones. What do your thoughts feel and look like? Drop heavily and deeply into your capacity to feel. Your breath will help you. One breath at a time. Feel the energy you are made of. Rest your hands gently on your belly. Invite your breath over and over again to feel its way there. Imagine your own hands and your own attention are those of a wise healer. One breath at a time, feel the digestive and intuitive powers that are there. Your belly, brain. Gently stoke the fire here. Stoke the fire with your breath. Gently let your hands travel up to your heart brain, just on your chest. Let them be heavy, soft. You will especially feel your breath here. Your exhale has a gentle clearing and settling effect, slowing your heart. Each inhale lifts your heart, it lifts your physical heart. making it buoyant. And each exhale settles. Can you grow here the energy of your heartbeat? Just grow it a little, maybe outside your body. Your heart makes waves out into the world. Gently now use just one soft fingertip to close your right nostril. If you prefer, you can just do this with your imagination. Bring your attention to the left channel, the lunar channel. Our nostrils have a different quality, and breath through them changes us. Savor 3 full breaths in and out through your left channel, your left nostril. Activating your lunar energy, your calming, settled energy. Inhale, lifts your physical heart. Exhale, settles it. Once you have savored your 3 breaths in your left nostril, gently release your fingertip and just notice the energy as it centers. And bring your attention and your breath to the space between your eyebrows. Each inhale, stimulating, invigorating, creating a clear, refreshed eye there that sees and feels inward. You possess a kind of X-ray vision here. Feel into these 3 intersections, these 3 centers, the gut brain, the heart brain, and the third eye, like a trinity of intuition and instinct. Breathing together now like a chord, a musical chord emanating from a precious instrument. How should this instrument of you be played? Gentle and slow, but purposeful with each breath. Everything moves. Can you feel it to the tips of your toes and the tips of your fingers? Keeping this quality, again, this core, third eye, heart brain, gut brain, all breathing together. The body soft and strong. Gently begin to wiggle your fingers and your toes. And pull your knees gently into your chest and rock from side to side. And take any movement that your body wants. Stretching, yawning, staying aware of these 3 points. We'll work with these 3 points over the next 3 days. Your third eye, your heart brain, and your belly brain. All breathing together and the breath going to the tips of your fingers and the tips of your toes. Gently rock from side to side. Take any last movements. Deepen your breath slightly. Roll your way over to one side if you are lying down. And carefully make your way up through seated. And settle here in easy pose. Take your time always in this practice. We have lots of time. Nothing needs to be rushed. This is a practice of interoception. Feel your breath. How does it feel now to be in a different relationship with gravity? The gut brain, the heart brain, and the third eye are stacked, but still moving in time with your gentle breath. Something that we will talk about tomorrow is oxyticity. And that is where the title of Susan Lowell's book comes from, Everything Moves. Oxyticity is when one thing moves, everything moves. We are essentially an amoeba. We may not feel our toe moving when we breathe, but it most definitely is. And part of this exploration is to maybe find a little more of that. Take 2 more breaths. Settle your shoulder girdle. directly over your hip girdle. Hands are on your knees. You can pop your eyes open if you like, or keep them closed. I highly recommend that you keep your eyes closed as much as you can. Come into a Sufi grind now, rotating your rib cage around and around. If you need to pop your eyes open to watch for unfamiliar movements, then do that and then see if you can close them again. This is part of interocepting. Closing off your senses helps you to go inside. So take the Sufi grind, such a familiar little movement, isn't it? Can you feel something new here tonight? Can you move on your breath? And you may feel some popping and some cracking. You may hear some reverse direction. What can you feel even that's new when you switch direction? How do you like to run your breath in Sufi grind? Do you like to inhale forward as I do and exhale back? Or do you have another way? Two more beautiful coffee grinder-like motions. And then come to center, and now without opening your eyes, because you don't need to, come into some cat-cows, seated cat-cows. And again, feel for something new. Slow and on your breath, eyes closed. Feel for something new tonight. Maybe you can get a sense of the fascia of your back and the big muscles of your back extending as you round your spine, or perhaps the fascia of your neck as you lift your chin. And then, almost as part of this exercise, flowing into hands and knees. See if you can just come to hands and knees and continue on with your cat-cows. Tuck your toes, just for now. Go slow. And let's try a variation. As you inhale, rotate your arms backwards and the inside of your thighs backwards, so they're behind you. And then as you exhale into cat, rotate your arms forward. You're still on your arms, so your wrists aren't moving. Rotate your inner thighs forward. So it's kind of a different cat-cow. Not only is your spine moving, but your arms and legs are also twisting in the transverse plane. So on your exhale, your inner part of your forearm faces forward. Take a few more, and if that's just confusing, let it go. Take a few more cat-cows. Untuck your toes, wiggle your knees back a little bit. We'll do our first sort of movement from the Tensegrity Repair series. Sink back into a child's pose. You can also tuck your toes here as you like. This is called the Spinal Wave. So come up through cat. You've all done this probably a million times. And then exhale, gentle cobra. So you can be very low for this, and maybe you should. Inhale back.
And exhale through cat. So huge cat, huge cat. You can even turn your inner arms and your inner thighs forward if you like, and end up in a cobra. And you may, and you probably will, hear some popping and cracking here as the body warms, as the fascia begins to move, as the layers begin to slide and glide on your own time, in your own way, flowing here, spinal waves. A few more. Enjoying that articulation of the spine matched with the breath. Last one, feel your fingers wide on your mat. Lower down to your belly. Extend your hands out to 45 degrees in front of your face. Spider your fingertips. Bend your elbows. And just come up and just a little baby drunken cobra. Bending elbows, undulating your spine side to side. And again, softly and carefully on your breath. Can you feel something new tonight? These are things you've probably done hundreds of times. How can you make it new? How can you go deeper inside and make it new? Last breath. Spread your hands underneath your shoulders. Nice wide fingers. Push back, child's pose. Tuck your toes. Take a breath. Big, huge breath, blowing your ribs apart, feeling into your intercostal muscles. 2 more big breaths here. Child's pose. It can be puppy pose if you want to be a little stretchier. Lift your bum a little higher and push into the delicate skin of your underarms. Lots of layers of fascia going on there. Hopefully sliding and gliding. You can even wiggle side to side. Roll up through cat pose. And on your own time, make your way into the messiest down dog you've ever done. Lift your hips towards the ceiling. Legs are bent. This is no yoga journal. Does yoga journal even still exist? This is no yoga journal downward facing dog. This is actually a downward facing dog. Be like the dog. Messy, messy, messy. Bent legs. Walk it out. Make some weird shapes with your body. Yawn your body. Push into your hips. And then gently walk your feet towards your hands or your hands towards your feet and come into a messy forward fold. And again, super messy. So knees are bent, eyes are closed. Grab opposite elbows if you like, or behind your legs. Pedal your knees. Feeling the back line here. Hamstrings, calf muscles, big muscles of your back. Release the back of your neck, nod your head yes. Lift your toes off the floor. Bend your knees enough that you can touch your toes. And reach down and push all your toes into the floor. So just push them with your fingertips, especially your big toes. So just grab your big toes and move them a little further apart, further away from your little toes, smaller toes. Push them into the ground and then actively push them in. We're accessing the deep front line here. We'll talk about that tomorrow. Push your toes into the mat. Really lean your big toes into the mat and begin to come up. Articulate your way up unless that's not for your spine. I've only recently started articulating my way up again. Feel that articulation, nice and slow, no rush. And then when you get to mountain pose, lift your big toes and settle them back down onto the floor. Feel the texture and the springiness of the mat under your feet. Take a breath. And then let your eyes flutter open just gently, and we'll do a little bit of work on our feet. So I have an array of things here in front of me. I have the rad roller in honor of you, Whitney. I have a kind of a dowel. It's a metal dowel. And then I have a ball. And you can do this work with any of these three things. I'm going to stay with the one in the center because I think that's what most people have. But whatever you have, flop your foot over top of your dowel or your ball or whatever you have. Almost like a gorilla foot. So just take your big, huge foot, come up on the heel and flop it over top. So the place you want to be pressing on initially is just behind the half moon where your toes join onto your feet. That's called the bubbling springs. And it's a super potent and amazing place. And it can also be very sensitive. So just lean into that a couple of times. It doesn't matter which foot you start with. And then slowly roll through your foot. Now this work, pay attention here to yourself. So use your interoceptive skills here to notice if this work is hurting you. So if you are nociocepting, if you find it painful, some people do. If it's your first time, you may. It can also be quite stimulating. So take it very slowly. It can also cause some other sensations like headaches. So just be on the lookout for that, especially if it's early days for you with this kind of thing. Otherwise, if you've been doing this a while, you can roll to your heart's content, working out all those crunchy, crispy little bits of dried up stuff. That's nerd speak, dried up stuff. So one more breath on this foot. And then take your gorilla foot and just wiggle it around a bit. And then place it down on the ground. So remember what Pixie was saying about the balancing poses? Let's try that now. Lean into the foot that you just worked, spread your toes, and come into just a soft tree pose. But keep your eyes closed. Can you use the work that you did with your foot to help you lean down through the mat, work with gravity? Take one more breath. And then step back into mountain pose. Close your eyes and feel any difference between your left foot and your right foot. At first, you might think there's no difference. Try a little harder. Breathe into them. You may feel tingles. You may feel nothing. You may feel warmth. You may just feel a zigzaggy kind of energy, or you might feel a very settled heaviness, or any of a million other things. Okay, other foot. So again, that big floppy kind of sensation of like placing a big paw over top of something. You want your foot to get really, really big and just flop over top. And just lay there on the bubbling springs just for a second or two, or a breath or two. Notice if you can feel your breath down into your foot. And then begin to roll it out. And the first time through is so gentle. Paying attention to any crackly sensations, any unpleasant sensations, pleasant sensations, whatever's happening, stay attuned to it. Close your eyes, soften your breath, soften the whole rest of your body. The feet are, of course, the foundation of lots of stuff, lots of our standing work. Take one more breath here. And then stand back into mountain pose. Can you use the sensation in your feet to lower your shoulders? Rock back and forth, toes and heels. See if you can feel these slings. So the slings of your body. Your fascia acting pre-tensioned, pre-stressed, acting like a bag for your bones, holding you in. Rock back and forth one more time. Step to the front of your mat if you're not there already. Move your dowel just slightly out of the way. We're going to use it some more. Inhale your arms overhead, lift your chest, lift your chin. And exhale, forward fold. So nice swan dive. Just a slow sun salute of any kind here. I'm just going to talk you through my favorite kind. Inhale, half lift, but you can move in any way that feels good, paying attention to your feet. Exhale, fold. Inhale, bring your fingers to the floor, step your right foot back into a lunge. I want to work a bit on the hips tonight. Take a breath here, and then step back into downward facing dog. Walk it out. It might be a little less messy this time. You might feel a little more organized. Fingers are spread. As we get into the work, the body becomes more connected. The fascia becomes more connected. The layers slide and glide more easily. Take one more breath here. Look between your hands. Walk your right foot up for a lunge on the other side. Enjoy these shapes. This is psoas work now. Drop down, left psoas. One more breath. And then step your left foot to match your right, forward fold. This is the slowest sun salute of all time. Let's do a half lift, hands to knees. Exhale, fold. And then reverse swan dive all the way up. And exhale, neutral. All right, grab your stick or your wine bottle, whatever. We're gonna roll out the leg. So there's lots of places to roll on the leg, Principally, the easiest place is your calf. If you want to sit down for this, it's actually probably easier. So the big muscles of your calf, if you can make them soft when you're standing up, it feels really good, but sometimes it's hard to soften them. So rolling out the big muscles of your calves, the sides of your calves, so the outside of your calf. Deepen your breath and try and stay in that beautiful breath that we had in our meditation at the beginning of practice. So close your eyes. You can roll out the inner calf. For me, that's not quite as awesome. Let's see how it feels for you. Other leg. I like to really deepen my breath through this work and try and stay connected. It's easy to get disconnected here, especially if it's painful. If it's painful, back up. Sometimes the dowel work can be a little too much. It's a little harder than ball work. If it feels like too much, you might want to make it a little smaller. So instead of going all the way down and all the way up, find a little area and just roll it out like a 2-inch area. Roll out the backs of your knees. Many, many nerve centers come together here at the backs of your knees. And then the whole reason that we're standing is it's a lot easier to roll out your thighs when you're standing. So roll out your upper thighs. Both sides of the knee. And come on up to the outside, the tensor fasciae latae, all of that stuff that can be so painful. Side of your leg. Inner thigh muscles as well. Hamstrings are a little harder. We might wait till we're sitting down for that. Do the other leg. Take your time here and roll it out like pie dough. There's no need to go too deep. Although usually this work isn't as stimulating to the nervous system as the feet are. And then stand in neutral, hold your stick. My legs are more than hip width apart. And just notice. So we're working from the feet up. Perhaps there's tingling. Perhaps there's settling. Close your eyes. Feel the floor. Can your connection with the floor help you to have nice low shoulders? Let's do a little bit of standing work, not too much tonight because I want the practice to be super gentle. But walk to the front of your mat. Stand with feet hip width apart. And now push off the mat as if you're springing from it with your right foot and step back about 3 feet. Bring your dowel to the back of your hips and just rest it on the back of your hips. If you did your 200 hour with me, I'm sure you did this with me. So rest your dowel just on your sacrum and hold on to it on either side. Have your feet on train tracks, not on a tightrope. So feet are hip width apart. Left foot is facing forward. Right foot has a little angle to it. And begin to twist your hips. face them front and face them open. And you can help yourself with your dowel here. On your breath, close your eyes. Where's the sensation happening here? So we're getting into hips, opening and closing. So hips face the short side of the mat and then they face the long side of the mat. Back and forth, this gentle movement, femur in the hip joint, opening and closing. Can you sense into your inner thighs? One more breath. And then come to rest in warrior one position. Lift your toes and splay them out on the mat again. Let your dowel come in front of you and hold it between your palms. So if you have a wine bottle or something in different size, it'll be a little different and you don't have to do this. But if you have a 3-foot thing, lean into the dowel between your palms and lift your arms overhead. So warrior one with the dowel's help. And take a few breaths. Where are your shoulders? Where are your toes? Lift your toes, settle them back down. What happens if you close your eyes? Hold your dowel in your left hand and open up to warrior two. Be careful, it's a little bit like a sword. Don't break your lamps or anything. Step into warrior two. Right foot is behind, left foot is in front. Wiggle your shoulder girdle over your hip girdle. And lean down. Lean into the mat. Can you squeeze the mat apart with your feet? That might help you to feel your feet. One more pose here. I just want you to feel the triangle here. Let your dowel come down inside your left foot and come to triangle pose. You can use your dowel as a cane here. Lift your toes, lean them back into the mat, push your mat apart if that helps. Where is your gaze? My eyes are closed, but I'm resting in the web of my fascia. I'm trying to be very supported here. My feet are pushing apart. My arms are soft. Take one more breath. Now we're going to drop down gently into downward facing dog. So you can just put your dowel down, just have it handy. Step back, down dog. Walk it out and notice. Deepen your breath, close your eyes. Really walk through your feet. You can even turn your feet over and push the tops of your feet into the mat. And then step your right foot forward. We'll go into warrior one on the other side. So wiggle your feet around, grab your dowel, place it on your sacrum. Find some heaviness with your arms, lower your shoulders. Right foot faces forward, left foot is angled out a little bit, and you get that play here again. Playing with your hips, opening and closing. What's happening to your front knee as you do that? So we're playing with alignment here. Where do your hips belong exactly? What's the best shape for you? Last breath. Lean your toes into the mat, spread them wide. Release your dowel, bring it overhead, warrior one. Lift your chin, lengthen your belly. Grow big, connect to the floor. One more breath and 2 standing poses left to go. Warrior 2, at your convenience. Take your sword down in front, open wide. What happens here with the extra weight? There's extra weight in your right hand. Let your body wiggle and squiggle around, wiggle and push your weight down to make up for it. Wiggle your shoulders over your hips, nice heavy hips, heavy feet, wide toes, last breath. And then basically just grow into a triangle. So your dowel can come to the ground like a cane. It gives you this beautiful thing to push into. Top arm lifts up, but it lifts by pushing. So you're pushing your feet into the floor, super grounded. Last 2 breaths. See if you can feel your breath to the tips of your toes. And finally, on your own time, you can stay there for a few more breaths if you like, or downward facing dog. Last one. Walk it out. And this is your last down dog. So really you can make this really messy too. Walk from side to side. Push your hips up. Experiment with the muscles of your back. Drop your knees and come to puppy pose now. Extend your hands out in front of you. Spider your fingers, tuck your toes, and deepen your breath. So we'll do a little bit of elephant work. I like the animals. So anchor your toes to the floor. Liven up your belly. Remember your gut brain. And squeeze your hands back towards your knees. So your fingers squeeze along your mat all the way back. Curl your belly, roll your belly. Those are your abs. And inhale overhead. This is the elephant's trunk. And exhale, puppy pose. Come back down, puppy pose. Use gravity here. Rock a little side to side. Fingers are still tented. Take at least 1 or 2 big, huge breaths. And then again, elephant's trunk. So pull, squeeze, pull, pull, pull your fingers along the mat to your knees, and then up your knees, up your thighs, and then overhead. And drop down, sit on your heels. Take a breath. And now we're in a different orientation again. Let your shoulders lower. Close your eyes. And we'll do a little more footwork. Tuck your toes. And just begin to play with your feet. So you can lean back onto your heels. So deepen your breath and close your eyes and feel inside. And this is one of those things that really can bring you inside because it can be super painful. So don't go into pain. Decide where you're going to go and how much you'd like to do tonight. Lean your weight back. And when you're ready for something different, flip your feet and lean back onto your heels again. Now, for a little extra credit, where did my dowel go? For a little extra credit in this pose, you can bring your dowel into the bubbling springs. So you have to kind of extend your feet a little bit more. They can't be all the way up. But you can bring your dowel into the bubbling springs on one side and lean. And the other side and lean. Not everyone likes that. See if you do. Go careful, go cautious. Last breath. Release your dowel, swing your legs around. Let's roll out the upper legs. Just the last little bit of rolling, so roll your hamstrings. If you're not liking whatever you're using, you can get back behind the knees again. If you don't like whatever you're using to roll, you can just massage it out. Other side. And let's go into a little bit more tensegrity repair work. I'm being swallowed up by my jungle here. Come back to lying on your back. Pull your knees into your chest. This is called mortar and pestle. So bring your hands, your palms to your kneecaps, your patellas. And let's find that baby foot. Remember I talked about baby foot? See if you can find the baby foot. So your foot is curling. It's the same motion that we made with the gorilla foot. So find that baby foot. Your feet might cramp. If they do, just soften them. Otherwise, hands on kneecaps. And we're going to make some big circles as if your femurs were mortar and pestles in your pelvis. I can never remember what part is the mortar and what part is the pestle. Make some circles. So the idea behind this work is that there's no tension, removing the layers of fascia. So this is actually really hard to release the tension. The hardest thing you'll do in this pose is to make your legs like noodles. Reverse the direction. See if you can just drive this whole thing with your hands. Muscles of your arms. Your legs don't like that. Your legs like to be in charge. See if you can make them noodly. Point them up to the ceiling, release the baby foot and give them a little shake, a little flutter kick. This will help. Flutter kick. And then hands to patellas again. You can take that baby foot again if you like. And now make some random mortar and pestle moves. So just find some random kind of, not even circles, but random egg beater kind of circles. But again, the challenge here, how soft can you get? Can you just be in charge with your strong hands and your strong arms? And move your legs around and kind of like surprise your legs. They're gonna wanna take over. See what you can do. Mortar and pestle. One more breath. Point your feet up to the sky again. Ceiling, I mean. I wish it was the sky. Give them a little shake, a little flutter kick. And now take some half fists and give your legs a good whacking. Just whack your hamstrings and your thighs, quadriceps, your butt. Whack your calves. And even your feet, give them a slap from side to side. Both of them. And then point your feet up to the ceiling again, give them a good kick. And then let them fall back down to the mat. Let's do a little bit of bridge work here before we go into our last bit of the tensegrity repair series. So let's come into a bridge pose, however you like. Lift your pelvis off the floor. You can interlace your fingers underneath you, come into any level of the bridge pose or any sort of shape that you like here. And now close your eyes. This can also be a supported bridge pose if you'd rather have a bolster underneath your sacrum. Close your eyes, lift your toes, and let your toes fall heavy on the floor. Can you feel the shape of your feet as if they're in warm sand? Deepen your breath. Two more breaths here. You can lift your toes one more time and reestablish. We're really finding that gorilla foot. Reestablish contact with the floor. Take a breath. Come out of the pose however you can. Lay your spine on the floor. Point your feet up to the ceiling again and give another little flutter kick. Okay, we're going to come into the butterfly. The butterfly is tricky. So you can find that baby foot. If you can't find the baby foot, it doesn't matter. Touch your buniony parts, the root of your big toe, touch them together and touch your heels together. And then just flap your knees open and closed. So this is butterfly, kind of like level 1. And now your feet are touching gently. Flap over to one side. Can you flap a little faster? So flap over onto one side so you're on one hip and then flap back through center. And you can really kind of smuck your legs together. It's good for them to, it's good for the fascia to smuck together. Come all the way to one side and then all the way back. So we're rolling around and butterflying the leg one last time. Come back to center. Pull your knees into your chest. Take a breath. Okay, last one. It's called the Sacral Smile. It's my favorite. Bring your hands down on the mat and spread them wide. And we're going to make a smile on the sacrum. That's the thing about the Tensegrity Repair Series. They're all exactly how they sound. We're going to make a smiling movement on your sacrum. So bring your knees towards your right shoulder and go over to the side like we did in butterfly. And then smile along the base of your sacrum and your knees come to the left shoulder. So you're making a kind of a smiley face with your sacrum and also a smiley face with your knees. Side to side. This ultimately feels really delicious on your sacrum. It looks and feels a little like Pilates. Keep your breath going nice and deep. And take 3 more sacral smiles. Come back to center, drop the soles of your feet to the floor, and maybe windshield wiper a little. We're going to go into level 2 of the sacral smile. This requires your dowel. Place your dowel in the crack of your knees, in that, what's it called? I don't even know what it's called. The hinge of your knees, that's what it's called. So hold on to your dowel with the hinge of your knees, and we're going to do the exact same thing. Sacral smile, side to side. Pull your knees up to one shoulder and then the other. Deepen your breath. This is kind of the most basic movement, and they go back to this over and over again in the Tensegrity Repair Series. It's kind of like an intermediary way to work out the body between poses. Okay, and last one. Take your dowel into your hands. Straighten your legs a little bit more, make a baby foot, and then sacral smile with extended legs. So this is a lot smaller, much smaller motion. And then if you want to, you can take the dowel between your palms, lift it up, and just roll it side to side. So you get this kind of slight twisty motion side to side, but there's not much effort here. They say 60 to 70% effort is what you want. There is a lot of coordination in some of the movements. Some of them that we'll do tomorrow are a little more coordinating. There's some eye movements, but they're not physically difficult. Take two more. Release your feet to the floor, windshield wiper. I just had a pretty big crackly pop in my back, which was good. One more breath. Using your dowel if you like, or not. Bring your right knee into your chest. Hook your dowel into the hinge of your knee and pull your knee in for wind relieving pose. You can just hold on over top of your right shin, just like we normally do. Take a good big breath here. Okay, now this is a little bit extra, but if you want to do leg stretch with the dowel, roll the dowel up towards your ankle and pull your knee towards your face. You can lift your face into your plant. If you don't want to be extra and you just want to do plain old leg pull, then your hands are on your shin. Deepen your breath. One more breath. As you come out of this, just take your right knee and mortar and pestle it around in the joint, in both directions. And then switch legs, with or without the dowel. I really like what the dowel brings to this. Take a couple of breaths in wind relieving pose, probably the best pose before going to bed. And then leg stretch. Extend your left leg straight-ish. Lift your face towards your left knee. Deepen your breath. One more. Release your feet, release the dowel, windshield wiper, if that feels good. One more breath. Pull your knees into your chest again. Take a little mortar and pestle in both directions. And then extend your left leg long and your right knee is bent. Pull it in. Classic wind relieving pose. We're going to do this with a difference here. Take a breath. Right knee is bent. Currently, your right knee is facing up towards your right shoulder, right? Pull it across your chest towards your left shoulder. you get a completely different stretch. You get sensation in all the fascia around your hip. The hips have a lot of connective tissue, a lot of muscle and a lot of connective tissue. Okay, we're gonna roll on over into pigeon pose. So keep this basic shape and roll over into pigeon. Left leg is extended behind you. And right knee is still extending towards your left shoulder. So you're getting a different kind of pigeon pose. Highly compressive for your right leg. If you want to work that even a little more, and I'm sure Pixie does, wiggle your left leg towards the right a little bit and your right foot a little towards the left. Release and deepen. If it feels too squishy on your right hip, you can come back to regular pigeon pose if you like. Bring your right heel towards your groin. But if your fascia's digging this, roll a little from side to side just to deepen. Deepen your breath and take 2 more. Eyes are closed. Sensation is deep in the middle body. Okay, we're just gonna fall over onto our backs again. Roll over, switch legs. Left leg is up and bent. Straight up wind relieving pose. Left leg is bent. Take a breath. Let's twist it up a little bit. If you like, pull your left knee towards your right shoulder. Can you get some new sort of sensation in the outside of your left hip? Take one more breath and then we'll deepen it even more by turning over and compressing into it. However you like, I'm turning to my right. Turn over, keep your leg underneath you. This time, left knee moves towards right shoulder. Wiggle your right leg towards the left and your left foot towards the right. Really using your upper body and trunk to compress your leg, getting that extra sensation in your left hip. We gotta be a little bit forceful with the hip fascia. Never going into pain, but using gravity. Last breath. Squiggle forward now into the ultimate hip pose, frog. If you want to turn over and do Badakanasana instead, please do. Otherwise, knees are out to the side. Gently lower your torso towards your mat. Soles of your feet can be together or apart. a different kind of fascia now, fascia of the inner hip. Deepen your breath. Use a bolster here under your trunk for comfort if you like. On your own time, making your way onto your back into Badakanasana Pose. Soles of your feet together, knees outstretched or out to the side. Place your hands on your inner thighs. You can also place your dowel across your inner thighs if that feels helpful to you. You can also use your dowel here to tap. Sometimes the inner thigh muscles just need a little bit of shaking up. You can gently tap. You can also tap with your fists, half fists. Finally, spread your fingers really wide on your inner thighs and push down. 3 more times here, using the muscles of your trunk and upper body and softening your inner thighs. If this feels like you need to be more supported, a block under each thigh is really helpful here. Gently move your hands to the outside of your thighs. Pull them together. Pull your knees back into your chest. And the little sacral smile. Knees come to one side and the other. Rolling out the sacrum. Many fascial sheaths come together at the sacrum. Super important area. Last breath. And then bring your hands to your patellas again. And for the last time, mortar and pestle. And remember that your arms are doing the work. And how jello-y can you get your hips and upper legs? Random movements, surprise yourself. Point your legs towards the ceiling. Just take a breath or two here in waterfall. You can stay here or take any last pose that you like. If you have a hankering for a shoulder stand, that would be beautiful right now. If you feel like turning over onto your belly and doing something, that would also be nice. Plow pose is a possibility. Whatever your body and your fascia is calling for, feel into it. Interocept. What do you need? I'm gonna do a wide-legged thing. And take the next 5 or 6 breaths. Last few breaths here, finishing up. Happy baby might be nice too. Place the soles of your feet on the floor. Windshield wiper if that's comfortable for you. If you've ever done this with me before, you'll recognize it, but I'd like you to try something I call boats on the ocean. So place your feet firmly on the mat, as if they're two boats on an ocean and they're being rolled by the waves. So really push down with your feet and take these windshield wipers very slowly, pushing down with your feet. Notice how it changes things. Imagine that my hands were on the tops of your feet. That's what I usually do for boats on an ocean. And the boats of your feet are rocking purposefully from side to side, but there's weight in your feet. When we engage the ends of our limbs, changes the experience for the fascia throughout. And because everything's connected. Last few rocks of the boats on the ocean. And I'd like you to keep rocking, but begin to extend your feet, your ankles towards the corners of your mat. So eventually your toes are going to be pointing towards each other and away from each other. And your femurs, your leg bones, are going to be moving in your pelvis. So windshield together and away, toes point together and away, and just notice what's happening in those joints. Can you feel space? Can you feel sliding? Can you feel gliding? Spread your legs a little wider apart. And then let your toes come to rest, hanging outwards. And now let a big exhale go through your entire low body. We've done lots of work in the low body, so there should be some sensations there, some tingling, maybe some heat. It's up to you and your body what you feel, but there's probably something happening there. See if you can access that and soften and release and get really heavy. Low body is heavy, heavy. Let your pelvis be heavy as well now, almost burrowing a hole or a divot in your mat. That's what pelvises are for. They're built to be heavy and strong. So let each exhale make your pelvis even more heavy, liquid. And let that softness make its way up your torso, rib by rib. And as you go, your physical heart, your diaphragm, your lungs,
Feel them moving with every breath. Lengthen your exhale just a little. Enjoy that refreshing inhale and then really inhabit that long, soft, slow exhale. Can your shoulders be super heavy? Imagine my hands on them. Gravity helping. And puddle the muscles of your upper arm. Let them fall away from the bone. And let your tender inner upper arms, no lower arms, face the sky, ceiling. And let the softness of your exhale radiate down. Soften your palms when your fingers are curled, as if there is a nice big orange in each hand. Feel the movement of your breath in your fingertips. And let your neck be soft and your jaw be soft. Touch the tip of your tongue to the roof of your mouth, just gently, and then soften and release your tongue and your teeth and your cheekbones. Feel your eye sockets settling inwards. Soften the space between your eyebrows. And now find those three places, your third eye, your heart brain, and your gut brain, and notice them rise and fall on the rhythm of your breath. A beautiful chord playing on the instrument of you. Notice your breath in every part of your body. How far can you feel it? Can you feel it to your fingers or your toes? Can you feel it in your nose? That's an easy one. Can you feel it in your shoulders? Maintain that heavy wave-like feeling. And begin to deepen your exhale. Your inhale will go along for the ride. Your inhale will deepen a little too, but concentrate on your exhale. And see if you can find the rhythm of your heart. Reliable, trustworthy, always there. Metronome of your life. Once you have found it or a sense of it, begin to wiggle your fingers and your toes. Coming gently and slowly out of the Shavasana in whatever way is your way. All I ask is that you keep your eyes closed and your attention inward.